Think about AI, we're thinking so much about the doomsday scenarios, which are also a thing, right?
Yeah.
But I think we're less prepared for what is very, very likely to be on us, like very soon, like by the end of this decade.
What you're talking about, mass unemployment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll be like 50% unemployment, but I do think that you'll see certain categories of jobs where suddenly like a huge chunk of the jobs, especially the entry-level ones,
right,
just aren't there. And then people who went to school and were told, study this, there's going to be a job waiting for you, and there isn't. You know, we've got to act fast to make sure that there's answers.
Yeah, I used to selfishly believe that my job was irreplaceable as a journalist, like as a street interviewer, because, you know, I have to actually talk to people in person. But then I saw an Instagram and TikTok page recently with 2 million followers or something like that, and it was all AI street interviews. And there's not a single comment saying like, what, you're taking jobs away from the real street guys, man on the street. It was all just praising the genius and the actual content within it. So it might come from my job too.
I mean, it's hard to think of a job that isn't implicated in some way. Either something about the job changes or the entire job changes.
Does anyone else feel like this? I realize that I don't plan for the future anymore because I don't believe that there is going to be a future. Like yesterday, I drank 4 Diet Cokes in one day, and sure, that's like bad long term, but at this rate, I don't feel like I'm going to die in 40 years from aspartame disease. I feel like I'm going to die in 5 years when Theo Vaughn leaks the nuclear codes. Why am I going to save for retirement? Really soon we're going to have Waymos with guns. I'm not going to die because I didn't take care of myself. I'm going to die in Civil War II, the Squeakquel, defending my studio apartment from a coked up Marjorie Taylor Greene staffer. And that is the only reason to eat your protein. I'm going to have to watch my cholesterol because in the future, there's going to be an app where you can buy and sell blood, and I don't feel confident that I will be on the buying end.
Has anybody else just seen like 1,000 TikToks from 1,000 different experts and 1,000 different people struggling, explaining how our economy is like in a free fall collapse? And AI is going to take like 80 million jobs away in the next 2 years. And right now, for the first time since 2020, there's more people that are unemployed than there are jobs. So I keep hearing all this shit. And does anybody else just, like, what the fuck is going to happen? Because billionaires are becoming trillionaires, and you and I can't afford to eat. And restaurants are shutting at rapid pace. Small businesses are shutting at rapid pace. They're literally killing the middle class. And you can tell how healthy an economy is based on the middle class. And I just hate that the people that are saying this is all by design aren't sounding so cuckoo anymore. Because when we can literally sit around and find out that Elon Musk is becoming a trillionaire and we aren't going after him with pitchforks and ripping him apart limb from limb, that is a problem. And what the fuck are we gonna do? Now you guys know why I play the lottery. How else are you supposed to escape this shit? We're literally trapped at this point. And nobody can afford to have children. The trillionaires want more money. Can you imagine not being happy with $100 billion? Like, what the actual fuck? These people are rabid. There are cancers on humanity.
Mr. President, the American people, slowly but surely, are catching on. No matter what their political view may be, Democrat, Republican, Independent, they understand that our current economic system is rigged. They understand that the very richest people in this country are becoming much richer, while 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and millions of people are trying to survive on starvation wages. The American people understand that while billionaires are getting huge tax breaks, they are finding it harder and harder to afford health care, to pay the rent or their mortgages, to afford child care, to be able to send their kids to college, to pay for the prescription drugs their doctors prescribe, or to buy decent quality food for their kids. The American people understand, painfully and depressingly, that unless we change the way the economy functions, their kids will likely have a lower standard of living than they do. In the richest country in the history of the world, it is likely that the younger generation will have a lower standard of living than their parents while almost all new income and wealth goes to the people on the top.
If you're required to justify your existence by having a job, then you should be guaranteed a job if you want one. It's not that ridiculous. We've done it and a bunch of places have. We did it for the CCC. During the Great Depression, the Civilian Conservation Corps was started to just give every able-bodied man who wanted a shovel something useful to do. And now we have dams and parks and bridges that still stand up to this day. So if you're saying that people should be allowed to starve to death or be homeless because they don't have enough money for it, you're not willing to just give them money, then you need to guarantee them a job. Because every human deserves to live a good life. So if that is the gates that you have to pass through to live a good life, then those gates should be open for everyone.
Artificial intelligence is advancing faster than any workforce can adapt. Studies from Oxford and Goldman Sachs warn that nearly half of American jobs are at risk, with projections showing up to 300 million positions worldwide could disappear by 2030. This isn't theoretical. AI is already writing code, generating marketing campaigns, reviewing legal contracts, and diagnosing patients faster than humans. Corporations are shifting from hiring to automating. 41% of companies now admit they plan to reduce staff because of AI. The entry-level jobs that once gave graduates a start are vanishing first. For young people, the timing couldn't be worse. Many leave university with debt, only to enter a labor market where over 40% of graduates are underemployed, working jobs that don't match their education or ambitions. Starting pay is too low to cover rent, let alone start a family. Every year, more tasks move to machines, while fewer roles remain for humans. What was once a ladder to adulthood, work, income, stability, has turned into a treadmill going nowhere. The emotional toll is real. There's a quiet despair spreading through the younger generation, not from laziness or entitlement, but from clarity. They see the future closing in on them. Their parents built lives through effort and patience. They are realizing effort alone won't matter in a world where algorithms outperform them for free. AI isn't coming to take their jobs. It already has. And the silence that follows isn't progress. It's a generation wondering what's left for them to build. Listen to this lady explain the dystopian job market we're about to face. The video's a bit long, but it's worth every second. This is something you need to hear.
Okay, so my posts about the job market are continuing to blow up, and I just gotta say, I don't think that most people are ready to admit just how bad things are. On the one hand, I get it because it's like, you gotta focus on what you can control. You don't wanna dwell in the negative. You don't wanna be a victim. But when are we going to be ready to admit that there is not a sustainable path to earn a living in America? A living, which means a livable wage, which means the things that you need to live, which means housing, food, healthcare, transportation. I think the reason why me voicing my feelings about the job market landed so well and resonated with so many people is because of how collectively gaslit we feel when we're going through it, because we're made to feel that we should be lucky to exist in this time period, that we should be lucky in general if you have a job, if it doesn't pay enough to live, you should be lucky to have a job. I'm just getting to the point where I don't want to be dramatic, but then I think about indentured servitude and I'm like, hey, at least those employers gave them homes. And I'm like, is it really better now? Because truly, if I did not have a family that I was close with enough, who cares about me enough to where I know that I will never go homeless, I probably would be homeless right now. Like, I literally would be homeless. And even if you do have family support, that doesn't mean it's easy. Because again, everybody is struggling. Even if you have a job, not all of those jobs are livable wages. Even if you are making ends meet, most people are paycheck to paycheck. We don't have a lot for an emergency or to help others in the community. And a lot of people are so strapped thin that it's like they don't even have enough to help their own children. They don't even have enough to help their parents who need help because the healthcare system is failing them. None of this is new. I'm not the first person to connect these dots. However, I don't think that we are willing to really admit and face the fact that this is where we are. And the only way to change this is to acknowledge how bad it is. It's to acknowledge, okay, I know that we want to get away from this. And when you're feeling helpless and you struggle to have hope, and it's so hard to envision what a better world could look like, a good step could be to define what you don't want. And I just think that one of the things that is halting American progress in general is the way that we gaslight ourselves and we get in our own heads. People who are unemployed, underemployed, or have been laid off within the past year or two, probably two, those of us know it firsthand because we saw how we've been treated, neglected even, the lack of treatment. Those of us who have that experience, it's traumatic because you find out very quickly that no one really cares if you live or die. I'm not exaggerating. Truly, in the system of capitalism, employment is everything. Employment connects you to healthcare, it connects you to retirement, it even connects you to community, to seeing people during the day. Do you know how isolating it is when everybody's at work and I'm a bartender and I'm working whenever everybody's free? And the fact that I make the same amount bartending that I made whenever I was on unemployment, both of which is not enough to cover my bills. So while it's like, yeah, I'm glad I have a job, it's also like, now I have no free time. At least whenever I was on unemployment, I was able to at least try to apply to 9-to-5 jobs. Now it's like I'm sitting alone with myself all day, every day when everybody else is busy, and then I serve drinks to people who can afford to go out and get drinks, and it's really dystopian. I had a coworker who is a bartender fall down a couple weeks ago, so she can't use her arm, and then she has new management for her landlord, where her landlord doubled her rent with no explanation, no notice. And now this girl, who is a bartender, can't use her arm, took time off work, doesn't have PTO, doesn't have healthcare, is worried about not knowing if she can go to the doctor, is trying to work even though she shouldn't be using her arm. And on top of that, you mean to tell me that October 1st, first of the month, rent's due, and your rent can be doubled without any notice? I say that because that's a normal experience in America. And I'm angry and I'm wanting to shout out about it, but I also am trying to recognize I'm at least grateful that I have a roof over my head. But even that is a struggle. I have to deal with my own guilt of being like, I feel bad for needing help at all from family, and it's hurt my relationships with family, to be quite honest. I don't know how to exist in this world where I can't sustain myself on my own, and it's looked at as though that's a problem. And this whole experience has made me so sad and empathetic for disabled people in general, because literally, what the fuck? I am neurodivergent. I do have ADHD, and technically that's classified as a disability, but I never considered it as a disability. But I can really, really see how ADHD definitely hinders my ability to bullshit and to play the game. And right now we're in a place in America where the game is so rigged that it is requiring even more effort, and you have to throw so many more hoops, so many more resumes in order to even get your foot in the door. Whereas someone with ADHD, it already is hard to do all that. And I shouldn't have to do it all, because guess what? I have the knowledge, skills, and experience, and I'm a person, and my life matters. And to want a living wage is not too much to ask for. To think that, having 10 years of employment experience and a master's degree, and to be a lifelong learner who has always excelled in school and been an intelligent person who's always willing to work hard, you would think that that would be enough. You would think that that would speak for itself. The fact that it doesn't, the fact that I have to do more whenever I don't have anything else to give, is so dystopian. God forbid I have an emergency. God forbid I was disabled. And I'm also very aware, it's like, I'm 31. I'm lucky that I'm young. I feel like I'm young, but I'm only getting older. And I ask myself, if I'm a bartender forever, I have flat feet, and what if something happens with my knees And my feet, if I'm not taking good care of myself and I'm in a job where my body now is what is being bought, like doing any sort of physical labor, like your body is what you're selling. And if you don't get healthcare with that, like what? But yeah, both the videos that I have that are still blowing up from a few weeks ago where I talked about the job market and my experience, they're resonating with a lot of people. And so I'm shouting this from the rooftops because even if this seems all obvious, if you're in this situation, you need to know you're not alone. And also, if you're not in the situation or whatever, I really think we gotta admit how bad it is. And I think that we're afraid to do that because we think that if we focus on the negative, then we're not gonna get where we wanna go. No, you have to solve the problem. And to solve the problem, you have to know what the problem is.